Welcome in, Slump Busters. We only have one team so far to this point, as of this recording, that has advanced to their respective conference finals. That is the Miami Heat. Congratulations to Mo Murphy, who's not here to represent his team. Go Heat. Heat culture for you, Mo. Joining us, though, is actually his colleague from Off the Ball, a repeat guest, Chris Lebron, who doesn't have to worry about his teams advancing to conference finals. Doesn't even have to worry about them getting into the playoff mix. The New York Knicks keep him and the expectations low. Chris, how are you doing today? How are you enjoying these semifinals games in each respective conference?
You know, I've gotten used to just enjoying the playoffs because my team's usually, unfortunately, not in the mix most years. So I tend to just enjoy the playoffs, and it's kind of good because, you know, it can get stressful. As you know, your Boston Celtics are in it, you know, like as usual. Yeah. So you know, you look a little tense, and I feel, you know,
tense. Yeah.
Tense, you know, the buttons are off, you know, the top buttons off, you know. So
we're just gonna start losing buttons as this recording keeps going on.
Yeah, you might go shirtless, and I understand. If he goes shirtless, if you see Drew go shirtless, it's understandable because, you know, Marcus Smart must have done something crazy.
Which series has been the most fun for you to watch, Chris?
Milwaukee, Boston. It's got a little bit of an old school feel to it. It's physicality. You know, everyone talks about the lack of physicality in basketball. Well, bingo, we got it here. we've gotten it in this series. It's been a fun back and forth, and in this game 6, it seems like it's going the same way too. So this series got a little throwback to it, and it's been a lot of fun. So this to me is definitely.
What are the big takeaways for both teams?
I think for Milwaukee's, obviously not having Middleton is huge, right? What he can do, especially late in games, his shot making ability, you know, especially from the perimeter, being a 40%, you know, 3-point shooter, you know, 90% free throw line, all that. You missed, that's a lot to miss. 20 plus points a game, an all-star. And he's usually the guy that has the ball in his hand a lot in late game situations. But Giannis is just upped his game. It's crazy to think that a guy who's a 2-time MVP, defensive player of the year, all these accolades, is able to level up. And he's definitely been able to do that. You know, Drew has stepped up offensively a little bit also, so that's definitely helped. So that Boston, Tatum has had some good shooting games scoring-wise. The efficiency has not been there, you know, and Marcus Smart, to me, if Marcus Smart hasn't done what he's done, I know the late in game, last game, you can, whatever, that's obviously just, you know, but he's been good. If he wasn't good, I think I'd be more, you know, we might not be here talking about this. We might talk about Milwaukee already advancing, but he's been huge for them. Al Horford too. This man is hitting big time threes. That's been huge. So that's why we're at where we're at right now in this series. And it's been a lot of fun watching this one.
Flipping over to the Warriors and Grizzlies series. So game 6 is going on tonight. We don't know what happened yet. The Warriors might have advanced. Obviously, Ja Morant's out for the Grizzlies, which neutered the series a little bit. But then, you know, Memphis came out and beat them by like 55 points on Wednesday. So how do you feel about how that series has gone? How did you feel about game 4 specifically? Because that was an interesting one where the Grizzlies had the lead and then the Warriors at the end hit like 10 straight free throws. And that was how they ended up beating the Grizzlies.
The fact that the Grizzlies are even in it without Ja, and we saw it all year, right? What are they, 22-5 without him? And it's so hard to actually like understand why, because you look at that team, you're like, they don't have a true number 2, right? They got a bunch, you know, Bane's is a good player. JJJ is a good player. No one that you're like, that's like okay, you got a bona fide number 2, right? No one who's like a Middleton type. And it's just, they just know how to play good team basketball, good team defense and all that. And that's what they've done. And it's just, they were up by 55 points without Ja Morant. That's crazy. Like you can't even explain it to someone, be like, yo, your best player, their best player was out, and they're playing a team who has so much championship pedigree, that's won 3 championships, that core, and they were up by 55 on that team without their best player. Like, that's unfathomable. Like, that shouldn't happen, but yet it's happening, and it's just been crazy. Warriors need guys to step up. Jordan Poole's got to step up. Clay's got to step up. Steph's got to step up too. Like, they got to get better production because there's going to be pressure. There's definitely pressure for the Warriors. Like, they're going to feel it, you know, because it's that 3-1 thing back, right? We're going to go back to that 3-1. But Memphis, man, they got nothing to lose. And when that's that worst team you want to play is a team that's got nothing to lose. Like Dallas and Phoenix, I'm just sure we'll talk about that. That's enough. Dallas got nothing to lose. Hey, they lose. Oh, well, they just got Luka, and that's it. Well, Phoenix, they got everything to lose. So those are teams you don't want to play, and that's going to be very interesting tonight to see how that goes.
A 3-1 lead definitely is sphincter tightening time in Golden State after the 2016 finals. Does losing by a 50-point margin give real cause for concern as far as Golden State as a title contender now that we know that Phoenix or even Dallas, playing devil's advocate here, is going into that respective series healthy? And then, of course, in the Eastern Conference, you definitely do have some powerhouse stud deep teams still hanging around. Golden State's the only team that I've seen get blown out by this margin and look that bad in a game. That definitely is an outlier whenever I look at the playoffs as a whole.
Yeah, I think if this was a younger team, maybe this would be cause of concern. But this team, I think they just laid it in and just like, all right, this just getting out of hand, and like, let's not even try. Like, it doesn't matter if we lose by 30 or we lose by 50. It's the same. And let's just get ready for the next game and just, and just handle it that way. Because I think they'll be ready to go. I think they're going to be ready to go for this game 6. And like I said, if it was a younger team, I would be concerned because those things linger for a younger team, and then that might weigh heavy on your head. But this is a veteran-laden team. They're going to let the young guys, the Jordan Pooles, those younger guys, the Kumingas, that veteran core is going to get them right. Like, hey, whatever happened last game, that don't even count. Let's whatever. You throw that out in the garbage and you leave that over there. And we get ready for this one. They could win by 20, and I could really see that and be like how does that happen? But sometimes that's how basketball works. Like, get blown out one game and then you win by 20 the next game. It's just how it works. But I could see a close game early because that's how usually Memphis works. They keep it close, and I could see the Warriors coming out punching in at the start of the second half and just putting there, be like, hey, we need to end this. We can't give them any chance, any hope in a game 7. So I think that's my feeling of how this game's going to go.
So over in the Miami-Philadelphia series, which is now over, Miami is going to the conference finals for the second time in 3 years. How do you feel about how Miami played? Obviously, Kyle Lowry didn't really play at all in this series, so it was similar group of guys to last time. How did you feel about Miami's performance?
They just were clicking. Jimmy looked like a star, right? Everyone keeps talking about, well, they don't have a go-to guy, right? I think he's shown enough in his Heat tenure that, he may not be the top echelon, but hey, he's a winner. And there's a reason why when, he was walking through the tunnel, like, they chose Tobias over me. Like, and that still doesn't make any sense. Like, why? It's still it's going to be one of the biggest mistakes. Like, you chose Tobias Harris.
Chris, let me chime in here real quick. I just need to ask your opinion on this. Jimmy Butler, if he takes another team to an NBA Finals, is he a Hall of Famer?
If he takes another, I mean, he's got to.
That's the stumper of me for the postseason when I think about this Heat team.
That's tough. That's really tough. I don't know. If he needs to win one, he definitely needs to win one. But yeah, if he takes another team, I mean, that's a pretty impressive resume. The whole Hall of Fame thing is another thing. It feels like everyone gets in, so he's probably going to get in regardless, but that's tough. I don't know. That is a tough one. I don't know if he could take another team, but if he wins one and he's a finals MVP, I think that, I mean, if they're talking about Kyle Lowry being a Hall of Famer, then Jimmy's got to be in there. And I don't think Kyle's a Hall of Famer, but he's probably going to get in because of what he did in Toronto. But yeah, I think if he could take another team to the finals, yeah, I think he might be.
I think the Heat are probably the most disrespected number 1 seed in either conference, or one of the most disrespected number 1 seeds I think I've seen in NBA playoff history. Are they a legitimate title contender when you look at the respective field? If you had to take Heat or the field, how much confidence are you placing in Miami?
You know what's crazy? If you would ask most people that, I think they would be like, oh, I take the field. But I mean, this Miami team is good. Like, they have everything. They got an all-world defender in Bam. Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year. He can get buckets on anyone. And this is even with Kyle Lowry not playing and Duncan Robinson. They're two big acquisitions. I mean, they just paid Duncan, and Kyle was a free agent acquisition, and they haven't really done anything. So that's not a crazy thing to say that I take Miami, instead of field. I know most people would probably take the field, but Miami's really good, man. They look what they just did. I mean, Harden, even though Harden may be on the decline, he didn't even make a field goal in the second half, I believe, of last game. Like, they really clamped him down. And no, Embiid was hurt too. And Embiid didn't even think about posting up, in this series. That's whole nother thing. I could do a whole podcast about Embiid forgetting that he's 7 foot, 265 pounds. But they made him uncomfortable, force him to shoot threes and all that. Like, if Embiid shooting threes, that's a win. That's a win. That's a win. You want him to do that. Stay away from the post. Let him do that. So they really look impressive. And like, I've even showed some disrespect to them at times this year. Maybe because Mo is a Miami Heat fan, so I have to do something since I'm a Knicks fan to like create something joyfulness for myself, because not a lot of joy, especially to see it for the Knicks. But they keep proving me wrong, man. They keep proving me wrong.
So throwing it over to Phoenix and Dallas, we got Game 7. We got the Suns kind of looking on edge right now. I know Chris Paul's had a few rough games here. Mavericks killed him in Game 6, but the Suns killed him in Game 5. What are you thinking? It feels like one of those games where you just flip a coin and see what happens. But how you feeling about Game 7 with the Suns and Dallas, the up and comers with Luka?
This could change a lot of what the NBA is going to look like in the next year, because obviously the Suns have a win now team. And I think we look at how good they've been the last 2 years, and like they could have a bigger issue than what people are kind of seeing as far as the future going forward. Because they lose this Game 7, like they're going to have to figure out some things, because Ayton's situation is he wants to get paid. They paid Mikal Bridges over him. I thought that was a mistake. I think what Mikal Bridges does is tremendous. Obviously a great defender, solid, perimeter shooter. I would have given him money. I think Ayton is an all-star waiting to happen. And I actually low-key think that Ayton's going to go to Dallas. So I think that just helps Dallas going forward. But that's my LeBron bomb. That's my if I had to forecast the future, that's what I think is going to happen. But Dallas, Luka is, I don't think he's a superstar yet, but he's like knocking on the door like, hey, I'm here. And if he has one of those 45-point like step back three and ends the Suns, that'll be special. This game is so intriguing because the pressure for the Suns is immense. Dallas is playing with house money. They got nothing to lose. Hey, we lose, we're supposed to lose, right? They weren't even supposed to be here. But if the Suns lose, man, the CP3 is going to get. You thought he got killed last year when they lost, when they were up 2-0 and lost 4 straight. It's going to be worse this year. It's going to be way worse this year. And then I really think that window will be closed shut, because I just don't know how much more elite basketball he can play. It might be it. It really might be it for the Suns if they don't get it done in Game 7.
It's funny how with Chris Paul, we can go from placing him in the top 5 all-time point guards to calling him the ultimate playoff choker, the ultimate playoff con artist in the same week time span. That's kind of how these series have treated him the last couple of years. Well-deserved, though, in some respects. I mean, you averaged 9 points over the last 4 games against these Dallas Mavericks, and people are going to start gunning for you. You're right in mentioning the pressure that's going to be on the Suns versus the Mavericks. But the big storyline for me in the series is the fact that the home team has dominated the road teams. For the Suns, who are supposed to be the more veteran experience on their team, for them to have no presence on the road, to not be able to potentially steal a game at Oracle or Memphis, so let's say they manage to sneak one through, or even in the East, once they have to get to the finals and face the East. Does that concern you that they just don't show up to play on the road?
Yeah, because you're going to have to, in order to win, you got to be able to steal a game on the road. And this series in particular, it's just been you see the Suns team that you expect to see, and then the next game it's like, what just happened? This is not the Suns team you expect. And it's just, they've been really hot and cold. And it's like, I don't know. It's hard to trust them. It's kind of weird because this team, they look relatively dominant the whole year, but I think there's something missing there. And I don't know where to exactly pinpoint it. And maybe it starts with Chris Paul, that he kind of looks like he's officially hitting that slope, like he's going down, and at the worst possible time. because there's time this year where he's like, well, he's looking like the best point guard in the league again. And then you're like, oh, it could go downhill quick. And sometimes we see with James Harden, some guys, it just happens, right? It happens like that. And this is why I'm concerned for the Suns going forward. If they lose, I think this is the CP3 that we're expecting to see might not be that dude anymore, because his body just finally just said, hey, we took a lot of punishment these last 16, 17 years. It's finally going to happen. And it's going to take Booker to elevate, because him and Luka, they've been going back and forth, and Luka's kind of got the best of him at points. So Booker's going to have to step up and show why he's maybe knocking on that door also of being a superstar. So this game, this is drama. Like, this is what we want. Game 7, there's drama. There's everything you wanted in Game 7. This game has. So I'm geeked for this one.
Thank you so much for joining us. I will say, though, if the Celtics lose this one, I'm putting the bad juju blame on you, my friend, for picking them on the pod a couple weeks ago. If they do happen to drop this one, do you have a alternate title favorite?
Let's go with Dallas. Let's have some fun.
Just go with Luka. Got some Luka magic in here.
Like, how crazy would that be if Luka takes his team? It would kind of be not to the level of Dirk, because Dirk had to go through that, a lot of the turmoil and all that, being the number 1 seed MVP, losing to the We Believe Warriors and all that. But that's kind of similar. Like, it's you have your star and you've got a bunch of good pieces around you. It's kind of similar to that 2011 Dallas team, if he can take them there. And that would officially put him in that. He's in the superstar club. He's there. He's there. And then he's the face. He might be the face of the league. Like, that might be, because everyone's concerned about when LeBron's done, Durant, all these, like, who's the face? Boom. He might be the dude. Let's go with Dallas. Why not? Let's have some fun with it.
All righty, Chris. Well, go ahead and follow Chris at OTB_network or Off the Ball Pod. Those are their Twitter handles. So go ahead and give them a like. Go ahead and give them a subscription. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Juju Talk Sports here. Kyle Ledbetter here. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. And we will see you next time.